nitty gritty. We are getting down to it with two more Saw movies, three if you count Saw X, which we'll see about if we're doing that next week or not. But right here, right now, Jigsaw, the eighth movie in this franchise. Looking forward to talking about it. We'll see you on the other side. That intro ain't that short. Anyway, here to talk about Jigsaw is myself and my tag team partner for tonight, none other than the incomparable. What's his name today? It is James.
That's right. And before we begin, let me just say, this is the movie that never ends.
Oh my God, that's why.
Yes, they go on and on, my friends. Anyway, more on that later. But we are doing Jigsaw, as the executive consultant has said. Did you want to start this off? I have many thoughts on this Oscar-nominated film. What is it? The 25th in the series? Which one is this?
This is number 8, and let me tell you something. I remember when it came out. It came out of nowhere for me. I believe in 2018, and I was excited because everybody knows I'm a huge fan of the Saw franchise. I'm like, yes, let's see what's going on. I don't want to say I was disappointed because that might give away my thumb, but okay. Basically, some people trapped in the game, and everybody in town thinks it might be a Jigsaw copycat, but there's some people who thinks, hey, he's still alive, and they're trying to figure out if this man is alive, and everybody's a suspect while this game is being played for hours and days and weeks, and that's it. That's pretty much it. It's missing a lot of elements, and as we talk about the good and bad, I'm just giving you the setup for it, and then I'm gonna tag it over there. But when we get to the good and the bad, it's gonna be very hard pressed for me to find the good in this movie. But Deja Vu, since you changed your name, go ahead and let's talk about it.
As you were describing what happened in this movie, I realized, oh wait, I've seen this before. Ironically enough, I mentioned to Chris earlier in the week, I think I did see this movie in the theaters. Now, for those of you who don't know me in real life, I have a very strong memory, okay? This is not me patting myself on the back. It's just, I do, okay? And I remembered, it opens up, if you ever watch a trailer, these people have like these, look like water pail buckets, metal pail buckets on their head, and they're being pulled toward not chainsaws. What do they call them? Buzzsaws. And I remember that vividly. That's actually going into my best scene, okay? Out of all the kills in this movie. And I kept watching the movie, and then I realized I don't remember anything else that happens in this movie at all. That is how forgettable. Now, I know both of us are winking and nodding as to what we think of this film in its entirety. Spoiler alert, it's not good, but I will say that I could not remember anything in this movie, and that's not a good thing. And I think it's emblematic of this series thus far. That being said, I haven't seen Saw X or Saw 10, however they're calling it, so I won't bash that movie, but we're talking about Jigsaw. So let me jump into the best scene. Why is that the best scene? I think because it's closer to what this series started out as. If you've watched it from the beginning, when we talk about Saw 1, Saw 2, I think they were fresh, they were inventive, they were specific to each of the people in the game, right? Or quote unquote game. As the series goes on, they're just put into these horrific situations, and a backstory is written up depending on whose turn it is to be sliced and diced, in whichever way. But this one, at least that bucket scene, it was very specific. And even though it wasn't as gruesome as some of the other ones that you see in this film, the thought that you would have to slice yourself on something that just the sound of it goes against human instinct was so effective for me. And I really like the psychological aspect of the first two of these Saw movies, okay? After that, it just becomes like snuff films to me, basically, which is why I don't like the series as a whole, okay? But I thought it was closer to 1 and 2, which are my favorites, and that's why I like that Buckethead scene. And that, I would have to say, is my best scene of Jigsaw. It was closer to 1 and 2, which are my favorites, and that's why I like that Buckethead scene. And that, I would have to say, is my best scene of Jigsaw. It was closer to 1 and 2, which are my favorites, and that's why I like. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on.
Hello, Detective Banks. When was the last time you saw your father?
He could be anywhere. He could be anyone. We're gonna tear this city apart.
Jigsaw copycat.
This is gonna go sideways fast.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
All right, we are back. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the side of Deja Vu. I guess he got stuck in a Jigsaw trap, but we are back to talk about this movie, Jigsaw, the eighth one. And I mean, pretty much is what he is saying is about his favorite scene, and that's the scene where pretty much they start the game, where the five people, I believe it was five people, were stuck in a little chain thing with the saw, and it was more reminiscent of everything else that Saul has done in the past. And before he comes back, I'll just tell you about my favorite scene. My favorite scene was the scene where we actually got to see Jigsaw, because it's always Tobin Bell steals the scenes he's in. Now, at the same time, he still kind of got away from what I think he usually does as Jigsaw, because he did not really teach them about life to me. He just killed him. It just didn't make sense. It was still a very good scene. But it was missing a lot of the psychological effort of it. I mean, the twist of the guy actually being a follower of Jigsaw and making the mistake of switching the X-rays. Yeah, I mean, it just added an extra caveat to it, but it was missing a lot of what people appreciated about Saw series, about Jigsaw, him showing up. And then the other twist that this was, back in time, and then the guy was actually recreated it a little bit. It seemed far-fetched, and it seems very forced. Which Saw does anyway, because all those tracks mostly forced, but it seemed very forced, and because of that, I just couldn't get with it. I wasn't as entertained. I wasn't enthralled with the story as I normally am for a Saw movie, or I was for the earlier Saw movies. I can't say I did about the latter ones, except for Saw 6. I thought was very good, but it was missing that element, and that's one of the things that I was not a huge fan of in this movie. That was the scene that I liked the most, was the fact that I got to see Tobin Bell play Jigsaw again, and he played it very chilly, very cold, very calculated, in his way that only he can do. That being said, my least favorite scene was almost the entire movie. I was just really, really disappointed by this. The characters did not seem very redeemable to me, and it was nobody you could really root for like that. They all seemed like they had issues. Like I said before, you were playing guessing games of who could this copycat be, if anybody was a copycat. And the reason is because they all were pieces of crap. They all had their issues. They all had their death fixations, that they all were assholes or external reproductive organs on a male. They just were not where you needed them to be in order for me to root for a character. And the one character that they wanted you to root for turned out to be the villain, which is normally the case nowadays. But it didn't surprise me that he was the villain. It surprised me how long it took for them to get to this point, for absolutely nothing to happen. I didn't like his little thing with the lasers, him acting like he was, killed, but only to be kill the other guy, just flat out kill him, and just was not entertaining to me, in at least. We'll come back. We're going to do some segments. Hopefully by then James will be back. But find out what we're reviewing this coming Thursday. It's part of our Halloween month here in Unpopular Review Entertainment. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
Talk to me.
What did the hand feel like?
Felt amazing. I could see and feel everything on the other side.
Talk to Me coming out this Thursday. Our edition of it is coming out this Thursday. Looking forward to that. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna probably watch it tonight, if not tomorrow. So looking forward to that. We're brought to you. We're welcoming back Deja Vu
Again. Has this happened before?
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. And it may yet happen again. I don't know. I have no idea what happened to my stream.
Let's hope not.
Did you do your worst scenes yet?
I definitely did my worst scene and my best scene. So.
Oh, okay. Can I do my worst scene aside from freezing for like 5 minutes? My worst scene was when I watched this movie and I realized that everybody had just graduated acting class, that or they all had paid to be in an improv class, and that evening they were all going to be in a Saw movie because it was all over the place and it was subpar. Now, sadly, on UPRE, we watched many movies that the acting has been so subpar that some of our co-hosts think that they could do a better job. And possibly they're right. Sadly, they're not on tonight, but wherever they are, I want you to know that I'm talking about you and you specifically. Can we highlight two people? Eleanor Bonneville, who... I won't go there. Eleanor Bonneville, who seems to get off on all the things that Jigsaw does, yet can't figure out who Jigsaw actually is in this iteration. In the end of the movie, I had to scrub that a couple of times because I thought, oh, clearly there's some scene that I missed, because when the killer, who's revealed to be Logan, not that Logan, but another Logan, is that Eleanor will corroborate his story, right? Yeah. And she runs out into the street, and you see these headlights from this oncoming car. And then she has this look like, oh, no, it's you. And then it just cuts back to Logan and the corrupt cop. And I'm like, well, who was in the car that she looked at him like that? Because if they're here to help you, they're here to help you. Why would you look like that? But yet and still, she looked like she was on a couple of shots of Hennessy throughout this entire film and completely inappropriate for the job that she did at work. Also, how could no one figure out who Jigsaw was, aka Logan, in this movie? I just found it incredibly ridiculous, especially for all these supposed smart people. It makes zero sense to me, and that, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, frustrates me to no end. Okay, you can't be smart on the one hand and then miss the complete obviousness of what's going on in front of you. It's so ridiculous. AKA, the man got shot with lasers and the ceiling is not crumbling around him. The lasers are they're like phasers, and they're like phasers in this. That old dilapidated barn didn't collapse on their head, but it sliced his head open like he was a creature from Alien Covenant. Okay? That's how powerful and how fast these lasers work. But he didn't realize that till the very end. Also, even a corrupt, arrogant cop is going to call for backup. If you've ever been driving on the street and you get pulled over, or you see somebody pulled over, it's never just one cop cruiser. There are like 5 of them. And now the other cops will be there with their hands in their pocket, and they'll be like, oh, did you watch the game? What are you doing? What time are you getting some overtime? Whatever they talk about. And only 2 people at the actual suspects or the traffic stops car. But there are at least 5 squad cars there. Why? Because they always do that. They always are on the radio. You're telling me you're tracking down the BTK killer. You're looking for the Zodiac killer. That's who Jigsaw's supposed to be in this, okay? You're looking for the Charles Manson. No, I'm going to cut off my phone, go into this building that has 0 bars with my old-ass flip phone, and I alone am going to be the cop that stops it. That's a little political reference for Vic there. It makes no sense. It's absolutely asinine. And I don't understand why no one gets it. Also, shout out to the cousin from Wakanda in this movie. Every time I saw him, I kept thinking, where are you in Black Panther? That's
my man. Token was definitely a force in this movie.
Yeah, I kept thinking, are you the one who made Rocket, or are you the cousin from Wakanda Forever? But shout out to him, who had brains throughout the entire movie, except when it mattered in the very end.
Yeah, he was fooled by who Jigsaw was.
Like, yeah, and for that, obvious okie doke. And then I'm ranting, I need a minute. Is the clock still here? And then when he closes the door and he says, "Game over." No, B, the game didn't start because who are you? I don't know you. You're not even the drug fiend Amanda, who we know with the poofier hair as she goes along in the film series. You're not Amanda. You're not the doctor with 1 foot who
Dr. Gordon.
Yeah, but came back amazingly because he's the greatest surgeon ever. He couldn't save Jigsaw, but he didn't bleed out. Shout out to Dr.
Jigsaw saved him.
Because Jigsaw could save everybody but himself. Let the games begin. Okay.
Let the games begin.
Okay. So also, Jigsaw, the mechanical genius, who in the first movie talks about how, and especially in the second one, how he's so methodical and he thinks about these traps for months. Yet somehow this guy who clearly, as he says, made an innocent mistake. It's not when he put him in the bucket. It's not when he set up the chain to pull him towards the buzzsaw. It's not when he's getting his back cut up that should have paralyzed him for life. But instead, he had a couple S&M slashes on his back, okay? I thought he was the extra.
It was the Jigsaw, like Zorro does Z. But
yes, out of the night when the full moon is bright comes Jigsaw, okay? He had some S&M slashes on his back, okay? And Jigsaw runs out. He says, "I know I built this trap for 6 months, but I never realized you actually don't deserve to die because you just made a mistake. So let me give you the power of walking again and rub some oatmeal a la Gladiator in your back, and then you'll work with me and we'll kill other people."
Well, he doesn't kill. He's not a murderer.
Yeah. He's not a murderer, and the U.S. is blessed by God because we're perfect. Okay. That's my rant about this film series that somehow makes so much money. So clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about, but those who go to the movie theater to watch this do.
Okay, well, we're going to take a final commercial break, and then we're going to come back and we'll wrap up everything. And because we got to do Spiral next. Fun times. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feel, and I'm happy again.
Back by popular demand, it's Singing in the Rain, one of our highest rated shows. If you haven't seen it the other 3 times that we reviewed this and then showed it on the rebroadcast, ladies and gentlemen, you have to tune in because I'm telling you, you're going to love that episode. It's one of the highest. It's doing big numbers. Chris, is it not? Chris is frozen right now. Is it not doing big numbers?
It is.
Oh, okay. It's doing big numbers. Okay. I can't do the Trump impersonation, but it's doing big. It's bigly. Okay?
Yeah, Trump is funny. All right, let's talk about. Are we doing quotes? Because I have none.
Oh, I have a quote.
Okay, go ahead.
Please no. When will this be over? That's my best quote.
I don't remember that.
That was me when I watched it. That was me when I was watching it.
You have a recasting, sir?
Yes, me.
All
I
right.
want to recast myself for another co-host in these Saw movies because yeah, E, where are you? E, I'm sitting. Hold on, wait. Okay, I contacted him.
All right, she'll respond in 4 months. Okay, so let's go ahead with our final thoughts as well as thumbs up, thumbs down. Deja Vu, we'll start with you. I'm pretty sure you made yourself clear, but
yes, thumbs down. Here's why. And am I not the fairest person on this network? The acting was mediocre, as was the plot. And it deviates far from where this series began. But I had to look, as I mentioned earlier, on a budget of $10 million. And shout out to, Tobin Bell? the smartest man in Hollywood, because he has to be making a fortune. Okay, him, Robert Englund, Dwayne Johnson, and Kevin Hart. Disney is not winning, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, it deviates far from this series, but a well-deserved thumbs down for me, even though it made $100 million. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Jigsaw will be back, despite having an inoperable brain tumor 35 years ago.
This movie is not memorable at all. At all. Out of all the Saw movies, and I'm not saying all of them were good because that's definitely not true. Of all the Saw movies, this is the least memorable one to me. By far. It was a shout out to Vic, because I'm going to use his word, a money grab. They said we have nothing else to do. This is usually pulls us some money for some cheap price. Let's go ahead and create the most convoluted, and this is a Saw franchise, all right? Fan of it, but let's be real. The most convoluted story to date for Jigsaw.
Any identification on the victim?
Puzzle piece. But Jigsaw has been dead for 10 years.
It's not him. Can't be.
The truth will set you free.
Line has been drawn. Did I find the Batman more interesting than Jigsaw? I did. That's sad. And this is like the third movie in a row, too. Third movie in a row, I found the Batman more interesting in it. I hope Talk to Me does better. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us here at Unpopular Review Entertainment for the Jigsaw movie. Stay with us immediately after as we review Spiral, the 9th installment of the Saw franchise. Looking forward to that. For Deja Vu, I'm the executive consultant. We'll see you next time right here on Unpopular Review.
This is the song.
Good night, everybody.
That doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started